Morning, TikTok. I wanted to take a minute and answer, or maybe actually point out a few things that some YouTube atheists have been attacking some Christian TikTokers with. And it's important for you to understand the language and understand the differences in what they're saying. And every one of them will come at you and go, prove God. Okay, prove he don't exist. We've played that stupid little game. Who wins? Nobody. Paul talks about evidence from creation. And in Romans 1, Paul says, you look out at the stars, you see the greatness of God. He is evident in all of his creation. Now, he's not saying creation is proof by any means, but he's saying it's evidence. And like Dr. John Lennox points out, when you talk about proof, you're talking about mathematics, okay? That's the only form of science that you can have true proof in, okay? To scream for proof in a field outside of mathematics means, one, you don't know what you're talking about. Two, you are selecting a different form of evidence to try to support a flawed proposition. So when you are dealing with these guys, you have to remember, one, most of these guys are not trained atheists. They're not. And when I say trained atheists, they are not scientists. They are atheists who watch YouTube, who read maybe some of Sam Harris' works or Richard Dawkins' works, and they think they know what they're talking about, and they really don't, because they don't do the science, okay? They don't understand everything that goes into it. They're hearing this guy's argument, and they're trying to duplicate it, and they fail miserably, okay? I have to read and study different religions, atheism, what Sam Harris writes, what Richard Dawkins writes. I have to read and study all that so I know that I don't misrepresent what he says. All right, so now I'm going to read to you from Beyond Opinion. It's a compilation of works by apologists from RZIM Ministries. Dr. John Lennox is writing this one. This particular section is science and Christianity, are they opposed to each other? And the answer is no, they're not. It's a widespread view that science and religion essentially conflict. Science and religion cannot be reconciled, said Oxford chemist Peter Atkins. But if this were so, one would expect all serious scientists to be atheists, and that's not true. A 1996 survey by two scientists showed that the percentage of university scientists who believe not simply in God, but in a personal God who answers prayers had remained more or less constant, around 40% since 1916. So now, naturalism is a worldview. You need to know that. If you don't know what a worldview is, I'll have to do different videos to explain a worldview. Basically, a worldview is these right here. It's what you see the world through, okay? It's the lens by which you perceive everything around you, okay? Whatever comes through here gets filtered by what your beliefs are, okay? So when you know naturalism is a worldview, and like Peter Atkins said, the universe will ultimately explain itself. That's not true. The universe doesn't explain itself, and exactly the opposite is true. You take any quantity in the universe, no matter what it is, take an apple, an orange, a human being, and you whack it in half, and you look inside, it does not explain its own existence. An apple has seeds. Where did the seeds come from? Oh, a tree. Okay. Where'd the tree come from? Well, the seed. Where'd the seed come from? The apple. Doesn't work with anything. Okay? No quantity in this universe, when it is sectioned, explains its own existence. And you need to understand that. And these guys, they just blow right past that. They just, oh, well, we'll figure it out. Well, that's not an answer. Okay? I had one young man talking to me about explain the different races. I said, okay, I'll explain it for you. 2 verses. Genesis 1:26 and 27. Actually 3, sorry. And Acts 17:26. There's only one race. You take blood from me. You take blood from a black man and blood from a Latino. Send it to a lab and ask them to tell you which one is which. They can't tell you what color we are. There's one blood. And from that one blood in Acts 17:26, it says God made all the nations of man. Now, Adam and Eve, their DNA strand had to have every single solitary permutation of humankind. Do you understand? Asian, black, white, Latino, doesn't make a difference. Egyptian, European, Russian, whatever. They were all in there, in that DNA. And as you go down, it's like breeding a dog. You can get a poodle from a wolf, but you can't get back to a wolf from a poodle. That's just genetics. Okay, that's the way that works. So as we come down, we lose information, which is also another proof evolution's not true. You don't gain information, you lose information. Okay? So when you understand naturalism, it's a worldview. Okay? The universe must explain itself so that your belief is wrong. Okay? There is no God. Why? Because I don't want there to be a God. Not because the evidence says there's not a God. Totally different. Okay? When you look at evidence, and if you take it to a court, all right, put it in a scenario of a courtroom, you get all this evidence out there. Okay? The evidence leads to a conclusion. Now, do you have proof? Probably not. You know, everybody thought O.J. killed those people. Nobody had proof he killed them. That's why he walked. So when you're dealing with people like this, one, don't get mad. You just need to understand they're lost. Okay? Their brains have been polluted to believe that one, man is the sum of all things, meaning he is the measure of all things. He's the greatest creation, and he can pull himself up by his own bootstraps. I had one young man today tell me, we just need more disbelieving young people to come along and we'll wipe God out. I said, buddy, that's been tried for 4,000 years. You haven't succeeded yet. What makes you think? Well, we need to evolve a little more. All right, that's what you believe, you know. I go back to Pascal's wager. If I'm right, I don't lose anything. If I'm wrong, I'll never know it. I'm thinking on naturalism. If you don't know what naturalism is, it's basically the universe explains itself. It is evolution. And it is a worldview that attempts to explain everything in the physical universe by the physical universe. Meaning, you're looking for clues out there to explain how we came to be, how the universe came to be, how life started, and they haven't found them. I'm just going to tell you right now, they haven't found them. We've never, no scientist anywhere on this planet in human history has ever seen a star born. We've seen them die. We've never seen one star born. That ought to tell you a lot. So at the end of the day, are we foolish for believing in God? Not in my opinion. The evidence points to God, points to a creator. And it's a type of evidence they don't like. There's 1.9 billion Christians on the planet, roughly. Now, I'm not getting into some of you guys, don't you even do it. They ain't all saved. That's not this discussion. There's 1.9 billion Christians on the planet. God has shown himself in their hearts and in their lives. That's evidence. It's subjective. You didn't see it. I did. I saw him heal my wife. But that's evidence. Now, they'll reject it, but that doesn't mean it's not evidence.